Picture your favorite chair in your living room, the one you sink into when the world outside gets to be too much. Think about the absolute, undisturbed quiet of your house at 6 in the morning, with just the sound of your coffee brewing. Think about the complete freedom to simply be yourself, with no expectations, no sudden arguments over trivial things, and absolutely no compromises about how you live your day. That peace you are picturing right now, it did not come cheap. It took you 60 years to earn it. Think about what you had to survive to get to this exact moment. You survived the brutal interest rates of the past. You survived the devastating financial crash of 2008, watching your retirement accounts bleed. And you kept working anyway. You survived the heavy, relentless responsibilities of family life. The pressure of providing, the sleepless nights, worrying about layoffs. And for many of you, you survived a devastating, financially draining divorce that took half of everything you owned. You clawed your way back. You paid your dues. You built your fortress. Now, I want you to imagine waking up one day and feeling like a hostage in that exact same house. I want you to imagine walking into your own kitchen, the kitchen you paid for with your own sweat, and feeling a tight knot in your stomach because you have to negotiate your own existence. You have to explain why you are reading the paper, why you want the house quiet, or why you don't want to run an errand. Welcome back, gentlemen. Today we need to have a very serious, unflinchingly honest conversation. A conversation that modern society often tries to shame us for having. We are going to break down, in excruciating detail, exactly why wise, experienced, smart men over 60 are making a firm, non-negotiable decision to never, ever let a woman move into their homes. Let me be absolutely crystal clear right from the start, so there is no misunderstanding. This is not a video about giving up on love. This is not about being bitter or cynical or closing your heart to companionship. It is entirely possible to deeply love a woman in your later years. It is possible to have romance, passion, and a beautiful connection, but you can have all of that without handing over the keys to the kingdom you bled to build. This conversation is about self-preservation. It is about understanding the devastating legal, financial, and emotional realities that men face late in life. Because at this stage in your journey, your greatest asset is no longer your retirement portfolio, the balance in your checking account, or the equity in your property. Your greatest asset is your peace. And today, I am going to show you exactly how quickly that peace can be legally and financially weaponized against you. Let us start with the first and most dangerous trap, the silent legal takeover. Most men over 50 operate under a very dangerous, outdated illusion. They look at the deed to their house, they see their name printed on it in black and white, and they think, I own this. I am the king of the castle. I make the rules. If things do not work out with my new partner, if the romance dies, or if we just realize we are not compatible, I will simply pack her bags, set them by the door, and ask her to leave. Gentlemen, the courts do not care whose name is on that piece of paper once a domestic arrangement is established. They do not care about your romance, and they do not care about your intentions, depending on the state, province, or country you live in. Tenancy laws and common law marriage statutes are heavily stacked against the property owner. These laws were originally designed to protect vulnerable renters from abusive landlords, but they apply exactly the same way to your romantic relationships. In many jurisdictions, if a woman lives in your house for just 30 to 90 days, she is no longer a guest. If she receives her personal mail at your address, if she changes her driver's license to match your address, or if she contributes to a single utility bill, like paying for the internet, covering the water bill, or buying groceries, she automatically gains legal standing as a tenant, a cohabitant, or even a common law partner. You might think you are just inviting a girlfriend to share your life and save her some rent money. The law thinks you have just taken on a legally protected tenant. If the relationship sours, and let us be honest, entering a new cohabitation dynamic in your 60s is a massive gamble because your habits are set in stone. You cannot simply change the locks. If you wait until she goes to the grocery store, change the locks and put her bags outside, you can be arrested. The police will show up at your door and they will tell you that this is a civil matter. They will tell you that you have just committed an illegal eviction, and they will force you to let her back into your home. Let me tell you a story about a man named Robert. Robert is 68 years old. He is a retired contractor who owned a beautiful, spacious, 4-bedroom home completely debt-free. He met a woman, fell in love, and after a year of dating, he invited her to move in. He did not ask for a lease. He did not consult an attorney. And he did not ask for a cohabitation agreement because he thought it would ruin the romance. He thought it would make him look cheap or untrusting. 2 years later, the relationship became toxic. The arguing was relentless. The respect was gone. Robert finally sat her down and asked her to leave. She refused. She looked him dead in the eye and said, "I have nowhere else to go, and I have rights." And she was right. She knew the law better than he did. She claimed she had contributed to the upkeep of the home by buying groceries and helping with the gardening, establishing her legal residency. It took Robert 14 agonizing months and over $35,000 in legal fees to formally evict her from the house he owned outright. For 14 months, Robert slept in his own guest room. He had to install a deadbolt on his own bedroom door just to feel safe sleeping at night. He walked on eggshells in his own kitchen. He couldn't watch what he wanted on television. He suffered severe high blood pressure, crippling anxiety, and depression, feeling like a prisoner in the home he spent a lifetime building. He had to go to court, sit through depositions, and have his entire financial life dragged through the mud, all to reclaim a house that already belonged to him. Robert learned the hard way that getting a woman into your house takes a single conversation over a glass of wine. Getting her out takes a judge, a team of lawyers, and a massive chunk of your sanity and your life savings. Are you truly prepared to take that risk with your sanctuary? This brings us to the second massive issue, the invisible, crippling financial bleed. By the time you reach 60, your financial life is largely set. You know exactly what your pension is. You know what your 401k, your IRA, or your retirement accounts look like. Your budget is carefully calibrated to sustain you for the rest of your natural life, factoring in inflation and future medical costs. When a woman moves in, that financial dynamic shifts instantly and almost always to your detriment. Usually, there is no formal financial agreement. You would feel guilty asking a woman you love to pay half the market rate for rent, right? Society tells you that a real man provides, so she moves in rent-free, but the expenses quietly multiply in the background. The utility bills go up because the heating and cooling preferences change. The grocery bills double, often shifting toward more expensive, organic, or specialty items she prefers. The cost of entertaining, dining out, and maintaining the household expands. Suddenly, the outdated kitchen that was perfectly fine for you needs a $30,000 remodel because she loves to cook and cannot stand the old countertops. In almost every case, men find themselves subsidizing the lifestyle of their new partner. Meanwhile, what is happening to her money? Often, her assets, her savings, her alimony from a previous marriage, and her property are protected. They are left completely untouched in her own bank accounts. Or They are being quietly passed on to her own adult children. While she lives off your infrastructure, I want you to think about the financial data for a moment. Studies and financial advisors who specialize in senior wealth management show that men who enter into late-in-life cohabitation without strict legal and financial boundaries often see a 20 to 30% decrease in their disposable retirement income. You are essentially taking the wealth you accumulated through decades of discipline and using it to fund a shared existence that you never financially planned for. And if you live in a region that recognizes common law marriage, the financial peril is catastrophic. In places like Texas, Colorado, or various provinces in Canada and Australia, living together and presenting yourselves as a couple to the public can eventually grant her the exact same rights as a legally wedded wife. If the relationship ends, she could be legally entitled to a massive portion of the equity in your home. She could lay claim to a cut of your retirement accounts and demand ongoing spousal support. You could find yourself financially decimated at 70 years old, forced to go back to work as a greeter at a hardware store, or forced to sell your beloved home just to satisfy a court order. And what about your legacy? Think about your children and your grandchildren. You worked your entire life to make sure you had something to leave behind for them. If a woman is living in your home and you pass away unexpectedly, what happens? Your children are now forced to deal with an occupant who refuses to leave. They will have to spend their inheritance fighting your ex-girlfriend in probate court to get her out of the family home. Your financial legacy, the safety net you meant to leave to your own blood, can be completely wiped out because you wanted companionship on a Tuesday night and did not protect your borders. But let us step away from the law, the courts, and the money for a minute. Let us talk about the third reason, which is perhaps the most profound and painful loss a man can experience on a daily basis. I am talking about the death of your psychological peace. I am talking about the total, insidious hijacking of your sanctuary. When you live alone in your later years, your home is a physical extension of your mind. It is the one place on earth where you do not have to perform, where you do not have to compromise, and where you never have to explain yourself to anyone. If you want to leave a book on the dining table for 3 days, it stays exactly where you left it. If you want to wake up at 2 a.m, make a sandwich, and watch a documentary about World War II at high volume, you do it. The temperature of the house is set precisely for your comfort. The decor reflects your history, your memories, and your taste. The daily routine operates entirely on your natural biological rhythm. You answer to no one. You are the master of your time. The very second another person moves their boxes into your home, that total sovereignty dies. It is replaced by the relentless, exhausting machinery of domestic compromise. It rarely starts with a massive argument. It starts with micro-negotiations. She does not like the old leather recliner you have had for 15 years, the one that perfectly supports your back, so it gets moved to the garage. She prefers a different brand of coffee, so your favourite brand disappears from the pantry. She wants the house kept at 72 degrees instead of 68. She wants the television tuned to different shows in the evenings, meaning you are relegated to watching your favourite sports in the bedroom. Then her family members and her adult children start coming over for Sunday dinners, invading your quiet weekends. Her grandchildren are running through the halls, making noise, touching the things you value. Suddenly, you have a honey-do list. You retired from the workforce to do absolutely nothing, if you choose. But now you have a new manager giving you tasks on a Saturday morning. Slowly, but surely, your sanctuary is hijacked. You find yourself retreating to a single room, maybe your study, your woodshop, or the garage, just to find a moment of the peace you used to enjoy in every single square foot of the entire house. Let me share another real-world case study. Arthur is 71, a retired mechanical engineer. He is a deeply generous, kind-hearted man who lost his wife to cancer 5 years ago. After properly grieving, he eventually met a lovely woman. Following the traditional script we are all taught by society, he asked her to move in. When I spoke to Arthur, the pain and exhaustion in his voice were palpable. He told me I didn't lose my house legally, but I lost it emotionally. Within 6 months of her moving in, I literally felt like a guest in my own home. Every single morning became a negotiation. When to wake up, what to eat, who was coming over to visit, what we were doing that weekend. I spent 35 years working in high-stress engineering jobs, dealing with toxic office politics, managing teams, and making endless compromises just to earn a paycheck. When I finally retired, this house was supposed to be my ultimate reward. It was supposed to be the finish line. Instead, I voluntarily gave up my freedom. I love her, but if I am being brutally honest with myself, I deeply resent her presence in my space. I miss the silence. I miss being alone. Arthur's story is not unique. It is the silent epidemic of late-life cohabitation. Millions of men trade the absolute perfection of their earned solitude for the warmth of companionship, only to realize months later that the cost of that companionship was their own sanity. You have spent your entire adult life adapting to the needs of employers, ex-wives, and demanding children. Your 60s and 70s are supposed to be your time. They are the golden years for a reason. Why on earth would you invite the stress of domestic negotiation back into your life when you finally escaped it? This brings us to the fourth critical point, the undeniable shift in modern relationship dynamics and understanding the true motivations of the dating market over 60. We have to look at this with cold, analytical logic. Many women entering the dating pool at this age have also been through divorces. Some have not prepared adequately for their own retirement. Some have outlived their savings or gave everything to their children. Some are looking for a soft landing. They see an established, well-groomed man with a paid-off house, a good pension, a reliable car, and a steady lifestyle, and whether consciously or unconsciously, they view him as a retirement plan. They view him as a rescue boat. When you allow a woman to move into your home, you instantly blur the lines between genuine romantic desire and practical financial dependency. How do you ever really know if she is staying? Because she truly loves your company, admires your character, and desires you as a man, or because she simply loves the rent-free lifestyle, the security, and the comfort you provide. When a woman maintains her own home, pays her own bills, handles her own maintenance, and still goes out of her way to dress up and choose to spend her time with you, you know the desire is genuine. You know she is there for you, not for your roof. The moment she moves in and relies on your infrastructure, a subtle toxic resentment often begins to build on both sides. You begin to feel used, like an ATM and a landlord combined, and she begins to feel dependent and trapped. It is a perfect recipe for a toxic power dynamic that destroys the very romance, mystery, and passion that brought you together in the first place. You stop being lovers and you become roommates managing a household. So, hearing all of this, you might be asking, if cohabitation is a legal minefield, a catastrophic financial trap, and a destroyer of peace, what is the alternative? Are you supposed to just be alone forever? Are you supposed to isolate yourself on a mountain? Absolutely not. Companionship is beautiful. Intimacy extends your lifespan. Having someone to share a laugh with, to travel with, and to hold is one of the great joys of being alive. This brings us to the fifth and final point, and it is the ultimate bulletproof solution that the smartest, most successful, and happiest senior men are adopting all over the world right now. It is a lifestyle concept called living apart together, or LAT for short. Living apart together is exactly what it sounds like, and it is the greatest relationship hack ever invented for men over 60. You date. You fall in love. You commit to each other exclusively. You go on incredible vacations together. You attend family events and weddings as a couple. You support each other through hard times or medical issues, and you have deep, meaningful intimacy. You might spend 3 or 4 nights a week at each other's houses, enjoying dinner and wine. But, and this is the crucial, life-saving difference, you both maintain your own separate sovereign residences. You never merge your bank accounts. You never put her name on your utility bills. You never let her move her furniture into your spare room. You never let her establish legal tenancy in your home. When the weekend is over, or when you simply feel that biological need for space to breathe, read, and be alone with your thoughts, you go back to your fortress, and she goes back to hers. You remain 2 sovereign nations that have formed a beautiful alliance rather than a messy corporate merger. Living apart together keeps the romance vividly alive, because you never have to argue about who left the dishes in the sink. You never argue about who forgot to take out the trash, or whose adult children are causing family drama and borrowing money. You only share the absolute best parts of each other. You share the fun, the connection, the romance, and the intimacy, while completely eliminating the mundane, soul-crushing friction of domestic cohabitation. More importantly, living apart together creates an impenetrable, bulletproof shield around your assets. Your home remains entirely yours. Your retirement accounts remain yours. Your legacy for your children and grandchildren remains perfectly intact and protected from probate disputes. If the relationship ever runs its course, if the spark dies, or if you simply realize you are better off as friends, there are no lawyers involved. There are no expensive eviction notices. There is no agonizing process of dividing up the furniture or fighting in a courtroom over who gets to keep the house. You simply have a respectful conversation, part ways with your dignity intact, close the door to your perfectly quiet, peaceful home, and move on with your life, financially and emotionally unscathed. Gentlemen, you have fought too hard, sacrificed too much, and bled for too long to reach this stage of your life, just to give it all away because you were afraid to set a boundary. The society we live in will try to guilt-trip you. People will tell you that if you really love a woman, you should want to live with her. Your friends might call you paranoid. Her friends might call you selfish, commitment-phobic, or stingy for wanting to protect your space. Let them talk. Let them judge. They are not the ones who will have to pay the $30,000 lawyer fees if things go wrong. They are not the ones who will have to sleep in a guest room in their own house, while a hostile ex-partner dominates the living room. Being smart is not being selfish. Protecting your hard-earned assets is not a character flaw. It is a profound responsibility to yourself and to the legacy you leave behind. You owe it to the younger version of yourself, the man who worked those long, grueling hours, who missed out on sleep, and who made those heavy sacrifices to protect the peace he bought for you. Do not betray the younger you by being careless today. Do not wait until you are sitting across a mahogany table from a property attorney, looking at a $20,000 legal retainer to learn this lesson. Do not wait until you wake up one morning, walk into your own kitchen, and realize you are a hostage and a stranger in your own. You have the power right now to design the exact life you want. You can have love. You can have romance. and you can have your absolute freedom. Hold the line. Keep your keys in your own pocket. Guard your borders. Protect your peace. I want to hear from the men watching this right now. We have built a community here of men who tell the truth. Have you ever made the mistake of letting someone move in too quickly? Have you gone through the nightmare of trying to get your own house back, dealing with the courts and the lawyers, or have you discovered the incredible life-changing freedom of living apart together? Drop your stories, your advice, and your hard-won wisdom in the comments below. Do not hold back. Your story, your specific experience, might just be the exact thing that saves another man from making a catastrophic, life-ruining mistake today. If this message resonated with you, if you value your peace, your freedom, and your hard-earned assets, hit the like button right now. It is not just about a metric. It helps the algorithm push this vital conversation out to other men our age who desperately need to hear it before they make a move they will regret. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more unapologetic, hard-hitting truths about life, wealth, and protecting your peace after 60. Until next time, gentlemen, stay wise, stay grounded, and protect your sanctuary at all costs.